Usually when we talk about college textbooks, there's this shared, almost universal trauma we all have.
Oh, absolutely. The textbook trauma is real.
Right. Like you remember it. You walk into the campus bookstore, you navigate that giant labyrinth to find your specific course aisle, and you just haul this massive 10-pound shrink-wrapped block of paper off the bottom shelf.
Yep. And it always has that weird little cardboard access code card that falls out on the floor.
Exactly. You drag the whole thing up to the register, and then the cashier just casually asks you for like $200.
It's painful. And honestly, that physical weight is a perfect metaphor for the entire traditional publishing industry.
Oh, how so?
Well, I mean, you're buying a static, physically burdensome object that is fundamentally out of date the minute the ink dries on the page.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. If a scientific breakthrough happens the week after publication, you have to wait 3 years and pay another $200 for the next edition.
And that $200 transaction used to be completely unavoidable. You either paid up or you just fell behind in class.
Which is a terrible choice for a student to have to make.
It really is. But today, for you, the learner, we have custom-tailored a deep dive into something that is completely shattering that old model. We are looking at a quiet revolution happening right now in education and publishing.
It's a really exciting shift.
We've got a fascinating stack of sources in front of us today, too. We're looking at everything from technical platform guides and global publishing directories, all the way to university funding announcements and system workflows.
Yeah, our mission for this deep dive is to synthesize all of that material. We are exploring how open educational resources, which you'll often hear referred to as OER, paired with digital platforms like Pressbooks, are transforming textbooks.
Transforming them from those expensive static blocks of paper into like free, interactive, living ecosystems.
Exactly. It's a total paradigm shift.
So, to set the baseline here, there's this delightfully simple formula we found in the sources. It's from a librarian named Michelle Reed.
Oh, I love how she frames this.
Yeah, she illustrates the whole concept like a basic math equation. She says OER equals free plus permissions.
And, we often get entirely caught up on the first half of that equation.
The free part.
Right. The $0 price tag is obvious and it's great.
Right.
But the permissions half is the actual engine of this revelation.
What does that mean exactly, the permissions?
Well, under the UNESCO definition in our sources, this means the legal right to copy, revise, remix, and redistribute the material.
Oh, wow. So it's not just a free download.
Exactly. You aren't just getting a free PDF of a book. You or your professor are getting the legal freedom to adapt that content entirely to your local classroom needs.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we can fully grasp how mind-bendingly interactive these books can get, we have to understand the actual architecture that is powering them.
Yeah, the digital foundation is key here.
And the name that comes up over and over in our stack of sources is Pressbooks.
Pressbooks is fascinating. If you look under the hood at their technical architecture, it's an open-source book publishing platform built directly on top of WordPress.
Which makes sense, right? Considering WordPress already powers a massive percentage of the internet's standard websites.
Exactly. It's a very robust, familiar foundation.
So if I'm understanding this, Pressbooks is essentially the WordPress of textbooks. Like, anyone can just log in, see a familiar dashboard, and start blogging a biology textbook.
Well, the interface will feel incredibly familiar to anyone who has ever written a blog post, yeah.
Yeah.
But the output mechanism is entirely different.
How so?
A standard WordPress site just makes a website. Pressbooks takes that entered content and rigorously formats it into highly structured academic formats all simultaneously.
Oh, I see. So it's doing a lot of heavy lifting in the background.
Tons of it. We're talking webbooks for reading on a browser, EPUBs for standard e-readers, Mobi files if you prefer a Kindle, and high-quality typeset PDFs for print on demand.
That is wild. And the scale of this operation is what really caught my eye. Looking at the Pressbooks directory source, I mean, this isn't just a handful of rogue professors typing away in their basements on the weekends.
Not at all. It's a massive global movement.
The directory currently catalogs exactly 8,798 open access books.
That's incredible.
Almost 9,000 textbooks published across hundreds of institutions globally.
And the sheer volume of the content within those individual books is what proves the viability of the platform.
What do you mean by volume? Like page count?
Yeah, we are looking at massive, rigorous academic texts that rival anything from a legacy publisher.
Oh, right. Look at some of the real-world examples from the directory. There's a text called The Craft of Sociological Research from Virginia Commonwealth University.
That's a great example.
That single book is over 300,000 words long. Trying to print a 300,000-word textbook traditionally would cost a fortune in paper and shipping alone.
It would be astronomically expensive.
Or there's Introductory Biology 2, which is a custom text created specifically for a course at Texas Tech University.
This raises an important question, though.
Oh, what's that?
Because if Pressbooks is built on an accessible, open-source framework where theoretically anyone can log in and publish, how do you maintain academic and structural rigor?
Yeah.
The immediate fear is that a collaborative open platform just devolves into a messy, unreadable dump of copied and pasted Word documents.
Oh, man. We've all seen what happens when someone tries to convert a complex Word document full of bolding and weird indentations into a web page.
It is a disaster.
The formatting completely breaks, the margins go wild, images overlap with text, and it's completely unreadable.
Exactly. And that underlying chaos is exactly why the architecture of an open textbook becomes paramount.
So how do they fix that?
Well, in our sources, there is a highly detailed formatting workflow created by Apurva Ashok and Zoe Wakehide.
Okay, I saw this. It was specifically for the Iowa Regents institutions, right?
Right. It outlines exactly how to bring professional order to all that open source chaos.
Yeah, according to their workflow, you don't just dump text in and hit publish.
Definitely not.
You have to create a Pressbooks shell first. Then you select a textbook-specific theme.
Yeah, the themes are crucial.
They mention one called the Malala theme, which is explicitly designed with the margins and spacing required for academic textbooks.
And the really critical step happens right after you import your documents.
What's that?
You have to go into the text editor and manually clean up the HTML tags.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you must strip out any hidden formatting tags like rogue div or span tags that carry over from Microsoft Word or Google Docs.
Why do you have to do that?
Because those hidden pieces of code will interfere with the default Malala theme.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, because this sounds incredibly tedious for a college professor who just wants to share their notes.
I know, it sounds like a lot of work.
If I'm a biology professor, my job is teaching biology, not web development. Aren't we asking educators to become software engineers just to share a textbook? Manually cleaning up HTML tags seems like a massive roadblock.
Well, what's fascinating here is that this exact rigorous, sometimes tedious structure is what separates a universally accessible textbook from a frustrating amateur PDF.
Okay, explain that.
Those rogue HTML tags are essentially like leaving a wrench inside the walls of a house you're building.
A wrench in the walls.
Yeah. It might look fine from the outside when you're staring at it on a desktop monitor.
Right.
But the second you try to run new plumbing, or in this case, the second a student tries to export that chapter to read on an iPhone screen while riding the bus, the whole structure gets blocked, the text runs off the screen, and the book breaks.
I get it now. So why should you, the learner, care about a professor meticulously cleaning up HTML tags in Iowa? Because that invisible labor is exactly what allows you to seamlessly read your sociology textbook flawlessly on your phone during your commute.
Exactly. The structure is the secret sauce.
It makes sense.
And the workflow also dictates specific metadata and book structure to keep everything organized.
Like what kind of structure?
Where you have to nest your headings correctly, using header 1, header 2, and so on.
Which builds an automatic clickable table of contents, I assume.
Spot on. And you must build out structured front, matter-like acknowledgments, dedications, and explicit instructions for other professors on how to use the open textbook.
Okay, and what about the end of the book?
Right, you need back matter too. Glossaries, version histories, adoption forms, and licensing information.
But wait, to prevent a scenario where too many cooks spoil the broth, Pressbooks has to have some kind of control, right? Imagine a team of 5 biology professors across 3 different universities trying to remix a single book.
It would be chaos without rules.
You can't have everyone overwriting the core chapters at the exact same time.
No, you can't. The system prevents version control nightmares through defined roles.
Like a user hierarchy.
Exactly. Administrators sit at the top and control everything, including the nuclear option of completely deleting a book.
Wow, ultimate power.
Below them are editors who manage and publish all posts, then authors who can only write and publish their own specific chapters.
Okay, that keeps things contained.
Then contributors can write content, but require an editor to actually hit the publish button. And finally, subscribers.
Which are essentially your readers, right? They can view the content, but they have no editing privileges.
Exactly.
Right.
But even if an open textbook is perfectly formatted, cleanly coded, and strictly managed, it's still just a wall of text.
Yeah, it's still a passive experience.
Right. The real disruption happens when you break the static page entirely.
Oh, this is my favorite part of the research.
Once that solid digital structure is in place, open educational resources push into territory that a physical textbook could never, ever reach.
And that transition begins with the fundamental question of accessibility. Who gets to actually experience this content, and how are we ensuring no one is left behind?
It's a huge issue in traditional publishing.
There's an insight in the sources from Anne Garnier that completely reframed this for me.
Her work on this is so important.
Yeah. She asks you to imagine a student who discovers that their required open textbook relies heavily on visual imagery, maybe a complex diagram of a cell to teach a core concept,
Right.
but the author forgot to include alt text.
Oh, no.
For those unfamiliar, alt text is the hidden descriptive text that screen readers use to describe an image out loud for visually impaired users.
It's essential.
If that alt text is missing, that student fundamentally fails to learn the material simply because of a completely preventable digital barrier.
Yeah, a free book isn't truly accessible if a portion of your students literally cannot perceive the information inside of it.
That's a great point.
This is why the structural workflow we discussed earlier includes a strict, mandatory checklist for accessibility.
What's on the checklist?
It forces creators to address barriers, like color contrast, ensuring that a pie chart doesn't convey information using only slightly different shades of green that a colorblind student couldn't distinguish.
Oh, that happens all the time in bad presentations.
Right. It also mandates proper table formatting so a screen reader doesn't just read a random jumble of data points.
And the technical requirements for math and science are particularly interesting to me.
Oh, the latex integration.
Yeah. The checklist requires complex math formulas to be rendered using something called latex.
It's a game changer for STEM.
For those who haven't used it, latex isn't an image file. It's a specialized typesetting system that uses plain text code to build complex mathematical equations.
Right.
That means a screen reader can actually read the formula out loud, like x equals negative b plus or minus the square root and so on, rather than just hitting a blank JPEG image of an equation and stopping dead in its tracks.
And the platform's commitment to accessibility goes far beyond just visual or auditory accommodations. It encompasses incredible linguistic accessibility.
Oh, the language support.
The language and script support native to Pressbooks is extraordinary. It supports fonts for non-Latin alphabets right out of the box.
Give me some examples of that.
Well, an institution can publish a textbook in Canadian Indigenous syllabics, like Nugatut or Cree.
Wow.
You can publish historical texts in ancient Greek or Syriac or Tibetan. You are no longer forcing global diverse knowledge to conform strictly to an English language Latin alphabet template.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Once you've made the text universally accessible to any screen reader and any language, you can fundamentally change the way the learner interacts with the material.
Yes, the interactive elements.
The sources detail a tool integrated into the platform called H5P, which stands for HTML5 packages.
H5P is brilliant.
This tool allows authors to build interactive videos, quizzes, drag-and-drop activities, and branching scenarios directly into the body of the text itself.
Think about the massive directory examples we looked at earlier. There was an introductory statistics book published by Louis, the Louisiana Library Network.
I saw that one.
That single book features 240 embedded H5P activities.
240.
Or consider the Seneca College Physics book, which contains 127 interactive activities.
This changes the fundamental relationship between the student and the homework.
It really does.
Instead of reading a dense chapter on physics and then turning to a static, boring worksheet at the back of the book, you are taking a quiz right there on the page.
Exactly.
You might click through a simulation of a physics experiment like adjusting the weight of a pendulum and watching it swing right in the middle of a paragraph. It's like turning a one-way lecture hall into a two-way conversation.
That is a perfect way to describe it.
The book isn't just talking at you, you're actively conversing with the book.
And from a pedagogical standpoint, the mechanism behind that interaction is what makes it so powerful for educators.
How so?
Well, the H5P guide from a Campus Ontario notes that this asynchronous delivery can be linked directly into an institution's LMS.
An LMS, like a learning management system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Canvas or Blackboard. So when a student completes an interactive quiz inside their digital textbook at midnight, the API catches that data, and the grade automatically populates in the professor's official gradebook.
Wow. The textbook essentially is the assignment.
Yes, exactly.
But the interactivity isn't limited to multiple choice quizzes or drag and drop games.
No, there's also the social element.
Right. The sources detail another integrated tool called Hypotheses.virus.
Oh, Hypothesis is amazing.
It's an open source web annotation tool built directly into the webbook format. It enables collaborative annotation in real time.
Which is huge.
Students and authors can highlight text and leave notes in the margins of the digital page, discussing the material right there on top of the text itself.
It effectively turns the margins of a textbook into a dynamic asynchronous seminar.
I love that.
Yeah, a student studying alone in their dorm room at 2 in the morning can see a clarifying note that their professor left in the margins at 2 in the afternoon.
Or they can see a question a classmate asked yesterday and reply to it. I just love that analogy of an asynchronous seminar. Imagine reading a really dense theoretical chapter on sociology. Instead of struggling through it alone, you look to the margins and see a vibrant discussion happening.
It makes the act of reading a communal, shared activity.
It completely deconstructs the isolation of studying.
It really does. But as transformative and exciting as all this technology is, we have to ground this conversation in economic reality.
Right, the money.
Creating a 300,000-word textbook, meticulously formatting the HTML tags so it works on a smartphone, writing LaTeX code for math equations, and building 240 interactive H5P quizzes. I mean, this requires a staggering amount of human labor.
Yeah, nobody is doing that level of rigorous academic work on a Sunday afternoon just for fun.
Definitely not.
Which begs the question, who is actually doing this? And more importantly, how are they being incentivized?
It's the multi-million-dollar question.
Because even if the resulting book is free for the student to download, someone still has to pay for the hundreds of hours it takes to write, code, and edit it.
And this is where we see the open educational resource ecosystem maturing far beyond just passionate volunteers.
So who is paying for it?
We are seeing major institutional backing. A prime example in our sources is the Online Consortium of Oklahoma.
Okay.
They aren't just politely asking professors to use free books. They are actively funding them with highly specific grant tiers to offset the labor costs.
I actually have the breakdown of those grant tiers right here, and the structure is really telling.
Yeah, walk us through it.
Level 1 gets you a $500 grant simply for adopting an existing whole OER textbook for your class.
Which is great because that covers the time it takes a professor to redesign their syllabus around the new book.
Exactly. Then Level 2 gives you $1,000 for remixing or revising multiple existing OER sources into something custom for your specific course.
A bit more work, a bit more money.
And Level 3 offers $2,500 if a faculty member or team creates a brand new open educational resource entirely from scratch.
That financial structure does something vital. It validates the work.
How do you mean?
By attaching actual grant money to the process, institutions are treating the creation of open materials as rigorous academic output deserving of compensation. It's putting it on par with traditional peer-reviewed research.
That is a massive shift in how academia values publishing.
And the economic ripple effect of those grants is profound. Think about it. A $2,500 grant to one professor might save 500 students $200 each in a single semester.
Wow.
That's $100,000 staying in students' pockets, which directly impacts whether those students can afford to stay enrolled in college at all.
And you know, this movement isn't just isolated to traditional four-year academic universities either. There is a massive surge of OER adoption happening in vocational and trades education.
Oh, that is such an important development.
We have a massive success story in the sources from the Pressbooks blog about Washington State. They produced a text called Introduction to Welding, which is noted as the first open textbook of its kind.
Bringing open resources into vocational training is a phenomenal milestone.
Why is it so crucial for the trades?
Well, trades education relies heavily on practical information, safety standards, and modern techniques that evolve rapidly as new materials and alloys are developed.
Oh, so a static printed manual is often outdated quickly.
Exactly. By bringing OER into the trades, they are transforming how vocational learning is accessed and severely reducing the financial barriers for students trying to enter essential, skilled industries.
And institutions are realizing that faculty need more than just a grant check. They need infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. The tech support side is huge.
The sources highlight Fanshawe College, which actually built a physical and digital OER design studio.
That is such a smart model.
It's a dedicated support model specifically designed to help faculty and students, giving them the software tools and the expert technical help they need to build these resources.
Which perfectly solves the problem you brought up earlier regarding the tedious HTML cleaning and latex metadata tagging.
Oh, right. The professor doesn't have to be a web developer.
Exactly. With a dedicated design studio, a master welding instructor doesn't need to suddenly become an expert in web development or screen reader accessibility.
That makes so much sense.
They just bring their subject matter expertise, and the studio's instructional designers help them build the interactive, perfectly formatted book.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? If state consortiums are literally paying professors $2,500 to write and remix their own free textbooks, and colleges are building entire design studios staffed with experts to publish them, are we finally witnessing the death of the $200 college textbook?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we are witnessing is a fundamental shift in the economics of education itself.
A shift away from the legacy publishers.
Yes, we're moving away from a model of forced scarcity, where legacy publishers control the static physical text, force constant new editions, and charge a premium.
And moving toward what?
Toward an institutional maturity model. Universities and state governments are doing the math.
And the math says OER is better.
They are realizing that it is far more economically efficient to pool their grant resources, pay their own local experts to create dynamic, interactive content, and distribute it infinitely for free than it is to watch their students drop out because they can't afford basic learning materials.
It's a complete paradigm shift. Let's look back at the journey we just took through these sources.
That's a lot of ground covered.
We started with Michelle Reed's simple but revolutionary formula: free plus permissions, granting educators the power to remix and adapt.
The foundation of it all.
Then we looked at the robust WordPress-based engine of Pressbooks and the strict Iowa Regions formatting workflows that ensure every digital page functions perfectly across any device.
Structure out of chaos.
Right. We explored how tools like LaTeX, H5P, and Hypotheses.ords break the static page entirely, turning textbooks into interactive, accessible, two-way asynchronous seminars.
Truly living ecosystems.
And finally, we saw how state-level funding initiatives and OER design studios are making this a financially sustainable reality for the educators doing the heavy lifting.
And as we consider all of that incredible technological and economic progress, this raises an important question for you to ponder long after we wrap up here.
Ooh, what's that?
If textbooks are no longer static, nationally published objects, if they are living, constantly remix highly localized digital experiences tailored to a specific classroom in Oklahoma or a specific welding shop in Washington State, does the very concept of a standardized national curriculum completely disappear?
Oh, wow. I didn't even think of that. If every professor can remix the book to their exact local context, standardizing a test across the country becomes almost impossible.
Precisely. And furthermore, when a piece of educational material contains branching video scenarios, real-time interactive statistics that talk to a gradebook, and live communal annotations from hundreds of students constantly updating in the margins, I mean, at what point do we stop calling it a book altogether?
That is a brilliant point to end on, because whatever it is we're calling this new medium, it is a million miles away from that heavy, shrink-wrapped, $200 block of paper you used to drag across campus.
It really is.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll catch you next time.